All right, where's Charles's voice telling us live? I know he's in my. I know we see you dance. You're partying and rock and rolling and whatnot.
Live from VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Well, good. Maybe is my microphone on? I don't hear myself. Hello. That's odd. I cannot hear myself. I'm hoping you can hear me. Can you hear me? Good morning and welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew. Yeah, it's a real weird sound going on. Yeah, and that's Baby Shark that JP's got going in the screen, going in the camera. Oh, don't move. Oh, dude.
You're going to have my screen covering your face. Look.
That's okay. Oh, there it is. Now I can hear myself. Good morning, Dr. Clothier. Welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew. Happy Monday to you, sir. Oh, I don't know if he can hear me now. As we have technical difficulties. Dr. Clothier, let me know when you can hear us.
I heard, can you hear me?
There you go. All right. Well, we know you're
Just assume we're on.
You are correct,
we on?
sir. We are on.
Okay.
We are on.
Good. All right. I can't hear much, and it's all garbled. Sorry about that. But like I was saying earlier, I'll just make up what you should say.
Okay.
So I thought we'd talk a little bit this morning about summer safety again, like last week. You know, we're all a little weary from talking about COVID, I think, and we got to talk about a couple things with the summer. And I want to talk about swimming safety today.
Yes.
And you may have heard this before. I do it every year because it's super important. And I think we've just got to cover this. And that is that adults need to supervise children around water.
Amen.
Period.
Amen.
And there are a number of things I think are just critical to doing that. And the first is assign an adult to a block of time to watch a child, and that person does not leave that child's side or watching until the next person comes to take over and watches. You don't walk away and go to the bathroom. You don't walk over and grill some food. You don't go refill your drink. You can't have a cell phone with you and try to be on Facebook and figure out viruses and world events and or games while you're watching a child, because a child can slip into water and drown within very brief seconds. The drowning only takes a minute or two. The slipping in can happen so quickly and so quietly, it's shocking. And so I always encourage people, be dedicated, put the cell phone in the house or something. If you're at a pool or at a lake, put it away and make sure somebody else is taking care of all the other chores while you are the assigned person watching a child. And that is just critical. And if you do like a 20 or 30 minute, kind of a shift of doing that,
right,
and then get relieved so that somebody else can say alert, and so that you can catch up on all the alerts you've had on your phone during that time that can wait 20 or 30 minutes, then
Yes.
I think it's just super critical to take care of children. And the next step in that, of course, get children some swimming lessons. You can start early, age 2 or 3. You can get adapted to water and floating. And 3 onward, you can actually learn swimming. A lot of 4-year-olds are good swimmers, but
Yes.
they still need an adult supervisor if they're out swimming. There's just zero doubt about that.
Dr.
And then
Clothier.
the big other thing
He's
with
having trouble
safety
hearing
is
us.
if you're at a lake, and even if you're the world's most experienced swimmer and you're fantastic and you've been in that lake before, wear a life jacket. That's just, we've already had a couple drownings. Sadly, with Memorial Day weekend coming, I know there are going to be more, because there always are. But a 17-year-old drowned last week, and it's in the area, and it's just sad. And a life jacket saves lives, and that's the bottom line. It's, to me, it's like wearing a helmet if you're out on a bicycle riding the roads. You gotta protect your head. If you're in the water, you gotta protect your body from drowning. You can get snagged into brush underwater. You can get disoriented in mud. You can get stuck in mud. There are just so many things that can happen. Water can have stronger waves than you realize. The wind can be more of a challenge. Just wear a life jacket. Be very careful. But any person of any age who cannot swim needs to take swim lessons. And,
Yes.
there are adult swim lessons, there are adolescent child. Go take swim lessons and make things safer for you and for those around you by not being a risk.
Absolutely.
So John asked, JP asked what the earliest, and I already said age 2 or 3. You can start having them get familiar with water around 6 months onward just by floating. But of course, you have to hold them the whole time. You don't put floaties on them and release them in the water. But you can have them get swim lessons age 2 and 3 upward. Age 3 actually can adapt to swimming pretty well, and with proper teaching and supervision. Can't emphasize enough the supervision. A lot of 4-year-olds swim really well, but they still must be supervised. Another just a safety issue for swim is, you can introduce into water and floating around 6 months. That's correct. But another thing about swimming is just don't get too exhausted. When you're out in the water, and this is adults, children, teens, when you're around water, you don't think about thirst. And you need to drink water when you're around water, even though water is all around you. And you need to make sure you don't get dehydrated. You can get dehydrated and disoriented in the heat, especially, in the summer, it gets warm. You may have forgotten that because it's been cool and rainy lately, but it'll get hot and the sun bears down on you. And if you're around water all day, you don't necessarily think about thirst. So I always recommend get out of the water once an hour and just get some water, maybe put some isopropyl alcohol in your ears to help clear out the moisture in your ears so you're less likely to get swimmer's ear. And just take a minute to kind of get a breather, get out of the sun, reapply sunscreen, just take a little break. When I was an Air Force brat and living on Air Force bases, we had community pools, and we go, and every 5 minutes till the hour, they blow a horn, and everybody had to get out of the water. And, then at the top of the hour, they blow the horn and you could get back in. When I was a child, I was so bitter about that because I wanted to swim. Now I think it's a great idea. And I have a question too about hydrogen peroxide in the ears. Is only good once every 2 weeks or so. Hydrogen peroxide is toxic to the eardrum and should not be used more often than maybe once every 2 weeks. Isopropyl alcohol will bind with water and help it evaporate, clear out that ear canal so that you have less moisture in the ear canal, less likely to get infected. If you think about hydrogen peroxide, it cleans dried up blood. That's about all it does. And so there's no reason to put it in the ear. And, people who feel obsessed with needing to can do it once or twice a month maximum. It can be ototoxic or toxic to the tympanic membrane. Now, you can make a little mixture, a tiny bit of vinegar and rubbing alcohol, and that works very well. That's actually what over-the-counter swimmer's ear is. It's a little acetic acid and a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and it just binds with water, helps the water evaporate. No need to get peroxide near the ear unless you haven't bleached those ear hairs yet, and you need to match.
Gotcha.
But those, I would avoid the idea of the hydrogen peroxide in the ear. Then another just safety issue in summer, I know we talk a lot about sunscreen and heat and sun risk and the heat and hydration. Just have a plan, have some shade. Nobody needs to be out in the sun just too long. And that's real tempting when you're at a beach or. Everybody just walk around, standing around.
There we go.
Have some shade. I think it's just real important to not overheat the skin, certainly not to overburn the skin. Let me mention again, as I did a couple of weeks ago, the lifetime risk of a skin cancer doubles if you have one blistering sunburn in childhood. And you just don't want to run that risk for your kids, for their future. When I was growing up, nobody knew about sun risk. Everybody used to be out tanning and using tanning oils and using crazy aluminum shields to make sure they burned even more. And, you know, all those things are just a bad idea, obviously. And now we know that. For 25 years, we've known about that. And, you know, it's just, you just need to be careful about the sun. Have a question about food and cramps. You know, we all grew up hearing don't swim for 20 minutes after you eat because you might cramp, and you might, and that's possible. The issue there is that when you eat, you get food in your stomach, and then your body wants to send blood to the stomach to digest that food. So if you get in water, you're probably okay. If you decide you're going to, you know, have the swimming race of your life within 20 minutes of eating, you may not perform as well if you've just eaten. So I don't think it's a big deal to eat and get in a pool. I think it's important to have some nutrition, you know, and that's part of the deal too, that if you're out there all day getting kind of dry and getting kind of weak from not having any nutrition, that's a challenge to the body. But specifically speaking, if you're doing normal recreational activity, you can actually exercise after you eat. Interestingly, or get in the pool or the lake, whatever. Interestingly, if you walk for exercise within 30 minutes of a meal, that's actually associated with better digestion and better burning of calories and possibly a little bit of modest weight loss. And so walking is fine. You just don't want to overdo. All of us grew up hearing, boy, you can't do a thing after you eat, and, you know, activity-wise. And that's really not proven to be true with time.
Great information.
I heard a comment.
Great information. Just, you know, and I think we need to continue talking about this, especially, you know, we'll have next Monday off for Memorial Day. These are important things because you're going to have parents around pools with kids. And let me ask you one closing question. Water wings, those are they're not a substitute for a parent or a guardian or an adult.
Look at the way water wings raise children. They really don't teach them much of anything. And, you know, if you're in the water with a child and you have water wings on them, I think that's fine because you're going to, you know, be helping them learn how to float, move their arms, whatever. You never should put them in the water with water wings as a substitute for safety. And that's, you can't rely on a float like you can a human who is